By 9 in the morning, my dad was already at my door, pounding hard enough that the sound thudded through the hallway, shouting my name like I owed him something priceless. Ellie stood just behind me in her pajamas, eyes wide, clutching the Christmas drawing she'd made with so much care. But moments like this never start with a noise. They begin soft, with one message, one choice, one line that tilts everything. Mine started the second my mom texted, "We're skipping your kid's birthday. Things are tight," and ended with a truth my family never imagined I'd find. Before I go on, tell me where you're hearing this from, so I know there's someone out there. My name is Scarlett, and most of my life has been spent surviving by expecting less. Especially from my parents. It sounds dramatic. Sure, but when you grow up being the steady one, the quiet one, the person who solves problems before anyone asks, you learn to swallow letdowns like they're part of the morning routine. I live in a tiny place near the coast where the air always smells faintly of salt and weathered pine. It's not impressive, but it's warm, full of light, and it's mine. Just enough room for me and my daughter Ellie, who fills the space with drawings, glitter trails, and the soft little hum she makes when she's content. The morning my mom wrote. Ellie was at the table coloring a unicorn with a crown. She glanced up at me with those hopeful eyes she's had since she was a baby, the ones she got from me, though hers still shine brighter. She asked if her grandparents were coming to her birthday this year. I told her I hoped they would. I hadn't even finished slicing the strawberries for her lunch when my phone buzzed. "We're skipping your kid's birthday. Things are tight." No explanation. No sorry. Just a line tossed out like it cost nothing. I stared at it for a moment, trying to keep my breath steady so Ellie wouldn't see anything slip through. I typed, "No problem." Because what else can you do when the people who should care don't? But it wasn't no problem. Not for me, and definitely not for Ellie. I got through the rest of the day acting as if everything was normal. I helped Ellie glue sparkles onto her drawing, answered work messages, ignored the sting in my chest every time I remembered that text. I tried to be reasonable. Maybe money was tight. Maybe something unexpected happened. But then I thought of the years I covered their phone bill after my dad lost yet another job. The months I paid their insurance just so their car would stay on the road. The repairs, the midnight calls, the emergency money that was always urgent until I needed support. My parents loved talking about loyalty, mostly when they wanted something. Ellie's birthday arrived that weekend. She wore her purple dress and asked if we could bake cupcakes instead of buying a cake. I set up a little picnic blanket in our living room because rain streaked across the windows. We played her favorite songs, opened a few small gifts I'd saved for, and welcomed 2 of her school friends whose parents were kind enough to bring them by. She laughed, she spun around, she tried to soak it all in. But when the day wound down and her friends left, she walked to the table, picked up a cupcake, and stared at the single candle I'd set aside. "Maybe next year," she whispered. She didn't cry. She just cleaned up the glitter and carried on the way kids do when they don't want you to worry. But something shifted in me. Not anger, not yet. Just that quiet ache I knew too well that Christmas came quicker than I expected, the way it always does when you're juggling bills, work, and a child counting down the days with paper rings taped around her wrist. Ellie woke early in her red pajamas, clutching the drawing she'd made for my parents, 2 grandparents holding hands with a little girl. She'd even added a tiny heart floating above them. She sat by the window waiting, legs folded under her, humming like she was trying to keep hope warm. I made cocoa, kept glancing at my phone, kept pretending I wasn't watching it. Noon passed, then 2, then 3. No call, no message, not even a stray emoji. Just silence, thick and familiar. "Maybe they're busy," I said, trying to sound easy. Ellie nodded, though her shoulders sank the way they do when she's fighting back hurt. When she finally wandered to the living room to watch a movie, I opened my laptop. I shouldn't have. Some part of me knew better. But habit is stubborn, especially when you've spent years convincing yourself your family is better than reality. The moment the screen lit up, I saw it. A Christmas tree towering higher than their living room ceiling. Stacks of wrapped gifts flooding the carpet. Twisting balloon garlands framing the doorway. Marissa's kids ripping open presents like they were filming an ad. My mom stood behind them holding a glitter-smeared box, grinning so wide her cheeks swallowed her eyes. And above it all, her caption hovered like a hit to the ribs. So blessed to be with our favorite little ones. Favorite, the word, cut deeper than any insult could. Careless, thoughtless, honest. Apparently, I didn't realize Ellie had come up beside me until I felt her fingers curl around my arm. She saw everything, the balloons, the smiles, the joy she wasn't included in. She didn't speak at first. Her face went still in a way no 7-year-old should know how to do. Then she whispered, "They forgot about me again, didn't they?" I swallowed, but nothing came out. I pulled her close, though she didn't move. Just stared at the bright, happy faces glowing from the screen, the same faces that couldn't send her a single message. The rest of the evening, I drifted through the apartment like a shadow. I reheated dinner, folded blankets, skimmed emails without absorbing a word. Ellie sat at the table with her paints, dragging gold and midnight blue across the page until the colors melted into each other. Every few minutes she'd glance toward the window, then back down, her tiny hands tightening into fists. Later, after she fell asleep beside me on the couch, I sat alone in the dim hallway light. The quiet wasn't soothing. It pressed against my ribs, reminding me of every bill I'd covered, every late-night emergency, every time I dropped myself to lift my parents up. And for what? A birthday ignored. A holiday drowned in silence. A child realizing far too early that love can tilt entirely to one side. Something in me didn't just break, it aligned. A clean, exact line between what I tolerated and what I would never accept again. The morning after Christmas, I woke with a strange stillness inside me, calm, steady, almost unsettling. The apartment held the kind of hush that follows a night spent pretending nothing hurts. Ellie was curled on the couch with the gold and blue painting from the night before. I tucked a blanket around her, brushed her hair away from her cheek, and let the weight of everything settle. Then I opened my laptop. Not for work. Not to scroll. Not to make excuses for people who had long stopped earning them. I opened the payment accounts. Years of automatic transfers stared back at me phone lines. Insurance, memberships, just this once loans that had become expected rituals. A map of every time I tried to keep peace, believing it might someday mean they'd show up for us. My hand hesitated only a moment, not from fear, but from understanding. Then I acted. Click, cancel, click, cancel. A quiet chain reaction of release. No shaking hands, no swelling music, just a steady calm I hadn't felt in years. By sunrise, every lifeline they leaned on was gone. Not out of vengeance, out of necessity, out of protection for me and for Ellie. If they couldn't show up for a 7-year-old who adored them, they didn't deserve to live on my efforts. Around mid-morning, my phone buzzed. Not my parents, of course. Marissa, Scarlett, Dad's losing it. Mom's crying. Everything's shut off. Did you do something? Her voice wasn't accusing, just worn, familiar. The voice of someone who knew exactly what our parents could be like. I'm done, I said. That's it. A long pause. Then a soft, good. The rest of the day moved with an odd kind of peace. I cleaned the kitchen, rinsed Ellie's paintbrushes, folded laundry, small tasks that felt different, now lighter, like the house finally belonged completely to us instead of to obligations I never agreed to carry. That night, while shelving Ellie's new books, she didn't mention my parents. Didn't ask why they never called. She just leaned against me and murmured, "I like when it's just us." And I understood something. This quiet, this gentle, steady life without chaos pounding at the door was what she deserved all along. I didn't know what would come next. Didn't know how my dad would react once he realized everything was gone. But I knew he would react. Men like him always do. And I also knew this. The calm before the storm is real, soft, deceptive. It gives you just enough breath before the explosion. The next morning, at exactly 9, it arrived. At exactly 9 o'clock, the pounding began sharp, furious, rattling the front door like someone meant to break it. Ellie jumped, nearly spilling her cereal. I pulled her behind me, my heart steady but heavy. I knew who it was before he shouted, "Scarlett, open this door now." Howard's voice roared down the hallway so loudly a neighbor cracked their door open, then quickly closed it again. I inhaled slowly and unlatched mine, opening it only a sliver. His face filled the gap red, wild, the look of a man furious about losing control he thought he'd never have to surrender. "What did you do?" He barked. "The phone's dead. The insurance is gone. Even the damn membership. You think this is funny?" Behind him, Linda lingered with her purse clutched tight, eyes flicking between us like she wanted to speak but couldn't form the words. And a bit farther back stood Valerie and Tessa, my aunt, and cousin arms folded, ready to condemn me without hearing a thing. I didn't move. "Everything I paid for," I said quietly. "I stopped paying for." Howard shoved up the door with his palm. I pressed my foot against it, keeping him out. His eyes darted past me toward Ellie, who peeked from the hallway. "You're dragging that child into this?" he snapped. "You're filling her head with garbage. Trying to turn her against her own family? Family?" The word almost made me laugh. "You mean the same people who skipped your birthday because things were tight? Then posted a Christmas full of balloon garlands and mountains of gifts for Marissa's kids?" Valerie scoffed. "That's not the point." "You're overreacting," Tessa added, arms crossed tight. "Everyone's saying you're blowing this out of proportion again. You always turn small things into disasters." Ellie stepped forward from behind me, tiny but unwavering. "They forgot me," she said softly. "They forgot me again." The hallway froze. Howard's gaze dropped first. Then he let out a dismissive snort. "Kids don't understand real-life stuff. Adults have obligations, bills, priorities." "Exactly," I answered. "And for years I handled yours." His expression twisted. "What the hell are you talking about?" I stepped fully into the doorway, letting the truth settle like dust between us. "The phone bills, the insurance, the repairs, the emergency transfers. Every time something went wrong, you called me and I paid without blinking." Linda flinched. Valerie's brow creased. Tessa muttered, "Everyone helps their parents." I raised a hand. "But when Ellie needed you, when she waited at the window on her 7th birthday, when she made that Christmas drawing and held on to hope in her pajamas, you weren't there." My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "You gave her nothing. No call. No text, nothing." Howard's jaw flexed. "We were busy." "Yes," I said. "Busy celebrating Marissa's kids. Busy posting about your favorite little ones. Busy pretending she didn't exist." Linda finally spoke, her voice thin and shaking. "We didn't mean—" "You never mean it," I said. "But you do it anyway." Howard's anger flared hot again. "None of this explains why you shut everything off without warning." "Oh?" I tilted my head. "That's not the real issue, is it?" His glare sharpened. "What are you getting at?" I stepped back inside, grabbed the printed packet from the entry table, then returned to the door. I held it out. He refused to take it, but he read the heading. His color drained. It's a loan application, I said. And my name. Using my identity. With your contact information. Linda gasped. Valerie's eyes shot wide. Tessa whispered, "Oh my God." Howard stuttered. That was a mix-up. A simple, "You forged my signature," I said. "And you took almost $8,000. His mouth opened and closed, his wrists trembling, his voice cracking. You didn't need it as much as we did." The hallway chilled instantly, as if his words sucked the last warmth from the air. Ellie edged closer, pressing her shoulder into my leg. I set my hand gently on her head. "You stole from your own daughter," I said quietly. "And you justified it because you assumed I wouldn't push back." Howard jolted forward as if to snatch the papers, but I stepped back. He wasn't quick enough. He never had been, not with responsibility, not with truth, not with basic decency. "You listen to me," he growled. "If you file anything," "I already did," I said.
Silence slammed down, heavy and absolute. "I filed the report yesterday morning," I continued. "I included the documents, the handwriting comparisons, the transfers, everything. Whatever happens now is out of my hands." Linda covered her mouth. Valerie whispered something like a prayer. Tessa took a full step backward. Howard stared at me, not defeated, but stunned that the one person he counted on to stay silent finally refused. "You wouldn't," he whispered, the threat gone, replaced by pleading. I met his eyes, steady and calm. "I will do anything to protect my daughter. Even from you." And that was it. The shift. The moment he realized I wasn't his fixer anymore. Not his safety net. Not the girl who said no problem while breaking quietly inside. Ellie tugged on my sleeve. "Mom," she murmured. "Can we close the door?" "Yes, sweetie," I answered. I held Howard's gaze for one final heartbeat, long enough for the truth to land. Then I shut the door. This time, he didn't try to stop it. He couldn't. The silence after the latch clicked was thick, weighty, but clean in a way I hadn't felt in years. Ellie leaned against me, her hand gripping the hem of my sweater. I carried her inside, locked the door, and for the first time in a long time, the lock felt like protection for us, not a barrier against them. In the weeks that followed, everything shifted. My parents didn't appear again. No apologies, no explanations, no last-minute attempts to mend something they'd shattered. Instead, distant relatives sent guilt-laced messages about family unity, then fell silent when I ignored them. Valerie posted vague quotes online about ungrateful daughters, and Tessa deleted half her comments once people started asking questions she couldn't answer. Marissa was the only one who reached out with sincerity. She showed up one evening with groceries and admitted she wasn't surprised about the loan. "Dad tried something similar with me a few years back," she said. I replied, "No, you just didn't give him the chance." It wasn't comforting, but it was honest. Inside our home, life softened. Ellie returned to painting, big bright swirls, more colorful than anything she'd made in December. When her school announced the winter art display, one of her pieces was chosen for the front. She stood beside it with her hands tucked behind her back, smiling in that small, proud way she has. Her teacher said she had real talent. I believed every word. I received a raise at work too. More stability, more security, a future built on my own effort, not on enabling anyone else. Our home felt lighter, warmer, untangled from obligations masquerading as love. We hadn't lost anything. We'd finally become whole. Before I realized it, winter had circled back. One evening, Ellie and I decorated our little tree, the room glowing soft and golden. She reached into the ornament box and lifted a tiny gold unicorn she'd bought with her allowance. She hung it carefully on a branch, stepped back, and beamed like she'd placed a star. "Do you like it, Mom?" "I love it," I told her. And I meant it. Because as I watched her shine in the gentle warmth of our home, I understood something clearly. Family isn't defined by shared blood. Family is who shows up, who protects, who loves without conditions or excuses. And sometimes the bravest thing you'll ever do is walk away from the ones who refuse to do any of that. We didn't lose anything by drawing the line. We gained peace. We gained freedom. We gained us. If you've ever had to hold a boundary with your own family, if you've ever had to choose your peace over their chaos, tell me in the comments. You're not alone. And if this story reached you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.